East Coast Pokemon. Today, Aaron and I have 3 picks each for us to share. 3 Pokemon in the Paleta region, the new region, Scarlet and Violet, and what Pokemon have caught our eyes during our playthrough that we think have competitive potential. So how are you doing, Aaron? Are you ready to reveal these 3 Pokemon?
I'm good, yeah, and I am excited. So I think James and I took actually the same approach for Scarlet and Violet. We did not look at any of the information that came out about the game before it came out. We kind of went into our respective playthroughs just completely blind. And so I think this video was kind of fun because one of my goals through playing Scarlet and Violet was, let me just try to catch as many new Pokemon as possible. And obviously some Pokemon really catch your eye, whether it be because of unique moves or stats or whatnot. And so, yeah, eager to see what list you've come up with, James, and ultimately just talk about some of these brand new Pokemon. Hey guys, Cyber. Relax, I was just gonna get there. Anyway, as this little buddy was saying, 80% of you aren't subscribed to the channel, so hit that subscribe button. It really helps. Hey, what Pokemon are you?
Let's just kick it off right here. The first one I'm gonna go over is Kingambit, which is a Pokemon that is evolved from a previous strong competitor, Bisharp, which won the 2014 World Championship. The Dark Steel type with pretty high attack, great abilities actually, Defiant of course, which is really nice for getting intimidated whenever the Pokemon stat is lowered, does gain a +2 in its attack stat. And it also gets a new ability called Supreme Overlord, which is when the Pokemon enters a battle, its attack and special attack stats are slightly boosted for each of the allies in its party that have already been defeated. I don't know if this ability is going to be used, but it does sound like a really insane comeback factor. And this thing has some pretty high stats. And I think one thing to also shout out is this also makes Bisharp a little bit better because now Bisharp can actually run into Violite. So it's not exactly the bulkiest Pokemon, but I think it's a pretty significant boost. But yeah, this Pokemon pretty strong, has really high attack, of course, pretty good stats all across the board other than like the slow base 50, which is lower than Bisharp. But you have Sucker Punch, which is priority to help make up for that. As defenses are pretty incredible. Base 100 HP, 120 defense, and 85 special defense, especially if you get this thing in the Assault Vest. It is a pretty strong hitter. It gets some decent coverage and it does a lot of damage. So I think this Pokemon definitely has a lot of potential in the competitive side. I also think it just looks sick. Like out of all the new designs, I'm like, oh my gosh, this Pokemon just looks so cool. So definitely agree with you on that one. And you know, it's weird seeing a Pokemon that actually was used competitively to a decently high level like Bisharp get an evolution, but I'm happy for it. And yeah, opens up some brand new strategies. For me, the first Pokemon that caught my eye and was actually one of the first Pokemon I think I caught in the game in general was Cyclizar. It is just really interesting because 1, it's got, really solid base speed. 2, has the ability to, of course, set up that substitute and then transfer it to another Pokemon. And so I think that makes for some unique strategies where you can maybe go for like a Follow Me and then Shed Tail and then bring in a Pokemon, give it a substitute. The Follow Me absorbs damage and then you have a sub up safely, right? Which maybe then can allow you to set up something like a Swords Dance or a Dragon Dance or a Belly Drum, for example. And so, yeah, I think like it opens up some unique strategies that just, we have never really seen before in competitive VGC. The closest you can think of something like that is maybe, I don't know, Baton Pass, right? But that was just not really something we ever saw in VGC because it just took so much effort to set up. Whereas I do think being able to cycle out and set up a substitute for one of your Pokemon can be really valuable. So definitely caught my eye. I don't think, it's going to be used as a main source of offense, but I think it'll enable some strategies that we just have never seen before. Yeah, absolutely. Looking at this Pokemon, it has a lot of actually great coverage for its ability. Also, its speed. 121 is actually one of the fastest in the actual game. So it's actually something that can pretty easily set up, I think. So definitely has a lot of potential. Has some support moves like Taunt, which is pretty nice. U-turn as well. So yeah, this Pokemon definitely has some potential. But let's talk about, oh man, who remembers the mice from the trailers if you've seen it? But geez, I did not think this Pokemon would actually be on the list. But Maushold, I do not even know if I'm pronouncing that right. But yeah, this Pokemon. Now there's the Technician ability, which moves that have less than 60 base power increased by 50%. And right now, this Pokemon's actually glitched. Population Bomb is like guaranteed to always hit like 10 times in a row, and normally it's supposed to be a chance of whether it's 1 to 10. But right now, I don't know if it's probably going to get patched, but Population Bomb is a 20.
Wait, is it's glitched in game? Is that the case? I didn't even know that.
Yes, I've been told it's been glitched in the game to where it's always guaranteed to hit 10 times. So yeah, 20 hits. If you're including Technician, that'd be 30 per hit, so it's a 300 base power move basically.
I think, yeah, that Pokemon actually just caught my eye because I was like, this is adorable. And then when I saw it actually has competitive viability, I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, its attack stat isn't that great though. For the saving grace, it is only 75, but it actually has, again, a really fast speed. 111 is actually really fast for this Pokedex. And Friend Guard is the other ability, which I think is the big one here, where, of course, we all know Clefairy for Friend Guard. Being able to reduce the damage for allies received is 25%. It's an incredible ability. And this Pokemon also gets Follow Me, which is really, really nice as well. So, great combination there. Get some really good support moves too, such as Super Fang, Encore, Charm. It also gets stuff like Tickle, Faint after you. I think it definitely has some potential as a support setup mod for redirection, which is really nice.
Yeah, I'm mainly curious. I think I've seen singles players use it very offensively, but I think in VGC there's the potential for it to either be a sweeper or just something that is used more defensively. So yeah, I just it's an adorable Pokemon, and I'm actually just really excited to try it out myself. But the Pokemon I have next is not nearly as adorable. In fact, it's the complete opposite of adorable, and that's going to be Baxcalibur, which is the brand new pseudo-legendary Ice Dragon. I believe 600 base stat total overall, and gets access to a really unique ability as well, where it's essentially immune to fire type attacks, and yeah, you can't burn it, which is pretty awesome. And so I think it's just a really cool Pokemon by design. I think that it gets really incredible coverage as well. I can see this being a potent sweeper in VGC, with something like Dragon Dance, for example. And overall, Ice Dragon is a interesting typing. It does, suffer from being weak to opposing dragon types, steel types fighting, for example. But Terra can obviously remove some of those weaknesses and cover for those. So overall, I think it's just a Pokemon caught my eye, one, because it had incredible base stats. And I mean, I used this Pokemon in my in-game run, and it just kind of like just demolished everything that was in its way, and got to the point where it would just like one-shot all the opposing Pokemon I was going up against, and had really good type coverage.
I mean, yeah, 145 attack will do that for you.
That's pretty good.
87 speed is also pretty solid. It's in the middle of the pack, and also you have access to Dragon Dance, so this Pokemon 100% can be a threat. Its coverage, a little bit lackluster, but realistically, like strong ice moves and dragon moves will hit for a lot of the format as well. You also have Stomping Tantrum, I guess. Oh, I actually did not know. It does actually get Earthquake, so I think that will be pretty much what you would need. So I think this Pokemon, yeah, definitely has a lot of potential for sure. Its stats are just incredible, and it seems like, I don't know if it's a better Glastrier. It could be, realistically. Its stats are just that impressive. But the third mon I want to go over, I don't know if this Pokemon's actually going to be taken seriously, but I've already seen videos of this mod, Flamigo. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It is literally what it looks like, a flamingo, basically. And what makes this Pokemon unique is its ability, Co-Star. So when the Pokemon enters a battle, it copies an ally stat changes. So there is a lot of things that you could probably do with this Pokemon. I've seen a lot of strategies already implemented. But think about getting like an instant belly drum, basically getting instant like shell smash. There are quite a few things, and this thing also gets like a decent support moveset, but realistically it is a pretty, I think it's a very interesting Pokemon to say the least. It also has some pretty surprising stats, which I was surprised when I looked at it. Its defenses aren't that great, but 115 attack and 90 speed and the ability to copy stats, I think, maybe has some potential out there.
Definitely. The final Pokemon I had on my list was Farigiraf, which is, I think, going to be a really interesting potential Trick Room user thanks to its ability, which essentially is very much like Serena's Queenly Majesty. It's interesting. I'm actually looking at the list now, and I'm like, oh, we had actually seen some of these Pokemon revealed beforehand, and, we had learned a little bit about them. But after going through the in-game and playing with it a little bit, and then doing a deep dive on their moves or sets, I'm like, oh, okay, I actually think all of these Pokemon, they're probably revealed for a reason, but I do think they just have a tremendous potential in competitive VGC. So yeah, with this being able to block like Fake Out and Priority Taunt from Prankster, for example, it's going to be a lot harder for opponents to deny you Trick Room. And so yeah, I think this is just a really solid Trick Room setter, and also gets access to a wide variety of good attacks overall. And I think Trick Room is going to be especially popular early on, just because it's something that's been tested. It's something that people know can work, and you know, Torkoal's in the Pokedex, and Torkoal is just incredibly strong. You add Terra on top of it, you know, Terra Fire just like can one-shot so many different Pokemon it runs into. And so I expect a lot of players to try to build Trick Room-oriented strategies in the first couple of weeks of the game, and I think that, you know, Farigiraf is definitely a Pokemon that can enable that.
Yeah, it seems solid across the board looking at his stats. 120 HP is really solid. 70 defenses aren't amazing, but with 120 HP, will gladly be able to take a hit easily. And 110 special attack is not a sleeper. It actually does some pretty significant chip damage, even if you don't invest in its special attack, which I'd imagine most players will be investing in bulk. So yeah, definitely has a lot of potential as a Trick Room mon. But those are going to be our 3 picks each that Aaron and I have came up with. Let us know what you think is competitively viable. If this wasn't on the list, let us know in the comments down below. Anything else, Aaron? I'm excited to use these Pokemon. What about you?
Yeah, for sure. I think the last thing I'd say here is, you know, we picked ones that we really use through our runs in the in-game, so there are plenty of other amazing Pokemon, many which will probably be stronger than the ones we talked about here, but these were just the ones that we had used to basically actually, like, have on our team throughout the in-game experience. And so, yeah, at one point, I had Cyclizar, I had Baxcalibur, I had Farigiraf, all on my actual team, and so naturally there were a lot of really strong Pokemon that I maybe didn't encounter, didn't catch, or didn't actually use on our teams, but this was just kind of a first dive into some of the Pokemon that we have some experience with after playing with it in-game, but there are plenty of other Pokemon that we're going to be, of course, covering in Scarlet and Violet. And yeah, I'm sure at some point we'll talk about every individual Pokemon.
Yeah, so make sure you tune into each of our individual channels and subscribe to Beastcoast Pokemon if you want to know more about these new Pokemon and how they can be used competitively. We'll each be sharing our own experiences with these Pokemon. But yeah, that is going to be it. Hope you all have a great day, and until next time.
Peace.